Thunderstorm warning now includes all of the immediate Quad Cities, Illinois and Iowa side. It does touch into southern Clinton County, extreme western Whiteside County, extreme western Henry County on the Illinois side of the river, including Geneseo and Andover. And it also now includes the rest of Mercer County, Rock Island County, northern Warren County, and also northern Henderson County. Let's zoom on that and see what the expiration time for that warning is. That's going to go, it looks like, once the radar pops it back up here, let me get a little bit closer, 8:30 this morning. So that newest warning that was just issued for Quad Cities points to the east now goes until 8:30 this morning. That is going to be for damaging winds, and I still want folks to be on guard for a potential spin-up tornado, especially if you're just south of Interstate 80 and to the north of Interstate 80. Either side of that, our concern continues to be that potential for a quick spin-up. I want to turn on the wind here, the velocity for a moment. We're going to peel away some of the warnings just to see what's going on with the current wind speeds, if we're seeing an escalation or if we're starting to see things weaken a bit. Let's go back and put this on a loop. And yeah, there is still a very good rush of wind that is coming through with these storms. Again, we're expecting 70 to perhaps as high as 85 miles an hour as this line of storms is rushing on through. Let's go back to the regular radar picture. I'm going to peel off some of the lightning because I want to start tracking some of these storms again for you. Let's work our way from north to south. So let's start by tracking the northern edge of this, where we still have tornado warnings to the west of Clinton County and Jackson County. No warnings tornado-wise for those two counties to the north of us right now. But that storm near Tipton and Mechanicsville is certainly concerning, and on its current trajectory, we are talking about that heading eventually into those areas. So there's the tracker on it. When you can expect it to arrive in Wyoming, about 7:56, 8:17 for Maquoketa. With that storm coming through. DeWitt at 8:26, 8:39 for Bellevue. That storm is moving to the east-northeast. Let's shift our attention a little further south, where we have seen some reports of confirmed tornadoes that are on the ground. And there you see again that big tornado warning stretching all the way from Tipton to Muscatine. We can almost call the all clear for Muscatine. You are just about done with this portion of the storm. You got about another 10 to 15 minutes to go before things will start calming down in your neck of the woods. Let's push this to the left. Let's go ahead and start tracking this line. Again, an intense, what we call bow echo moving through. That is a signature very common when you see some damaging winds racing through the region. So there's our time of arrival. Here in the Quad Cities, we're still expecting that storm to arrive at about 7:56. 8:08 for Pleasant Valley, 8:24, just before 8:30 this morning for Geneseo, and then Clinton. That must be on the Illinois side of the river, or perhaps no, it's on the Iowa side of the river. Yeah, it is including Clinton at about 8:36 this morning. So again, it's a very kind of precarious time of the morning, if you will. We've got kids that are being shuffled to school. If you haven't left home yet for kids that are going to school, I think it's best to shelter in place, especially if you can't make it to school before the time that these storms are going to be arriving. The sirens are going off now here in the immediate Quad Cities. That is because we are now under that severe thunderstorm warning for winds in excess of 70 miles an hour. So again, do not want to be caught out in the heart of this storm coming through. If you can keep the kids at home, you haven't left for school yet, do that until these storms clear. I'm sure the schools will understand. If you can get them to school before the storms arrive safely and you can get back, then you can make that decision as well. But again, very serious situation developing here in the Quad Cities with not only the threat for very strong winds, but embedded tornadoes. I want to go a little bit further south now. We've tracked the northern part, the central part, including the part that's going to move into the Quad Cities. Let's see what's going on for the southern part of this storm that is also now warned until 8:45 this morning. There you see that very strong line of storms now getting out of Wapello, heading for New Boston. We're just moments away from Aledo into Seton, Little York, Quokka. Let's go ahead and put the tracker on this and move it to the east, see when the time of arrival is going to be. So we've got Aledo here in just about 10 minutes. Quad Cities International Airport, you can see the timing has stayed consistent with that all morning. We've said right here in the metro about 7:45 to 8 o'clock. That is still the case here. It's going to be in Orion at 8:09. Geneseo, you are still expecting an arrival with this as we go to 8:25. So we've now tracked the entire line here Let's go back and see what's going on with that hail threat, because remember, we saw that really starting to ramp up to areas north of Muscatine. So let's go back to the hail probability, and yes, that is still the case. Kind of this arc of large hail being seen on radar from Wilton just to the east of Muscatine. And when we checked the hail size on that earlier, we were estimating quarter size. Now, thankfully, it looks like that has toned down a little bit. Not nearly as large of a size as what we were estimating, say, about 15 minutes ago, but still thinking quarter size hail, a good bet. And this is also moving to the northeast. So this is going to be an impact to the Quad Cities too once we get closer to that 8 o'clock hour. You've got the wind, you've got quarter size hail. You can only imagine what happens when you pair quarter-size hail with 70-mile-an-hour winds. That could create some significant damage, including the loss of power. So let's be prepared for that as that line is going to be racing through the Quad Cities. I also want to let everybody know we are under severe thunderstorm watch. That goes until 1 o'clock as we go into this afternoon. That includes everybody, all of northern Illinois, all the way to Chicago. We need to remain on guard for potentially another round of active storms as we go into this afternoon. Let's go ahead and send it to Jenna. I believe she's got some more information for us here as the storms move through.
Yeah, Andrew, we're going to take a live look at I-80 from mile marker 270. This is just about 30 minutes west of us. You can see, you see all that lightning on there. You can't really get a good glance of the trees to see all that wind, but you can see just how wet that pavement is right there. It looks like quite a few semis have pulled off into maybe that's a rest area right there. I do want to give you an update on some of the power outages as the storm has moved through. Just in the last couple minutes, Iowa City, where kind of the heart of that storm was passing through, jumped from 11 customers without power. They're now up to close to 400. But out in Des Moines, where it was earlier, there are more than 24,000 people without power there right now. We're not seeing really any power outages in our area right now. I'm sure as the storm moves through and people start to wake up, we'll start to see those a little bit more. There are a few hundred in the Muscatine-Louisa County area right now, Alliant Energy customers, but we're going to continue to monitor that throughout the morning. Andrew, we'll go back to you.
Yeah, very intense. Looking line of storms still on radar here yet this morning. In fact, we have a new severe thunderstorm warning to tell you about here just coming in to the Storm Track 8 Weather Center. This now includes more areas north of the Quad Cities as that line continues to intensify with some embedded circulations in that. And actually, there's a new tornado warning to talk about too that's now been issued for extreme southwest Jackson County, most of western Clinton County. You are included in a tornado warning on this here too. There you see that line of storms continuing to move off to the north and east, and that's been our greatest area of concern. As that's been coming out of Iowa City, that's where we have the greatest spin associated with that line. It's where you get that comma head to the line itself. That's where you're going to have the best potential to get that quick spin up tornado. So if you're southwest of Maquoketa, or I would say even Maquoketa at this point, you need to get ready to start taking your tornado precautions right now. Lowest level of your home. If you do not have a basement, interior room away from windows, I know it sounds silly, but even the bathtub works. I tell kids that all the time at my school visits. If you don't have the basement, that is another option for you. Let's get the velocity data back on here, and we'll start tracking and seeing if we're seeing any circulations within that, because I'm sure we are. Let's start with the storm tracker itself, and yep, we are noticing a couple of those embedded circulations north of Olin there as you go into Jones County. But further to the south there, near Dixon and Bennett, that's where we've had a couple of spotter reports, especially near Bennett, of some tornado activity that has potentially been reaching the ground. That is definitely of concern. You can see it too on the velocity where you've got the red meeting the green, some of that kind of getting a little bit caught up in the circulation. That is definitely a concerning part of this storm system that's pulling through right now. Let's put the loop on this really quickly and see what's going on in terms of the movement here. Yeah, good wrapping right around Mechanicsville, heading right around the US 30 corridor, where it looks like we're seeing some of that good wrapping. I got Chief Meteorologist James Zahari in here as well this morning. Let's see, do you want to take over for a few minutes, and we're going to see if we can
go ahead and do that. Why don't you go ahead and put us back in reflectivity mode just for a second here. And of course, a very dangerous situation that's going on as we're getting numerous reports of warnings. We're getting numerous reports of a lot of wind, lightning, some hail going on, and a lot of swirling that has been taking place as well. Of course, the big concern right now is this brand new tornado warning that has been popped up. That's until 8:30, so a good 45 minutes or so. And what we've been really focusing on is that big notch that we see, looks like just on Interstate Interstate 80, right near Clarence, right near Mechanicsville, or excuse me, Route 30, I apologize. Right there, that's where we're seeing a nice little notch taking place, and that system continues to make its way off to the east-northeast. So hopefully you're hearing the sirens that are going on around Oxford Junction, Toronto, Wheatland, and even around Dixon, Iowa as well. This is a very fast-moving storm system. This is moving about a good 60 miles an hour or so, and that's why we're extending these warnings way out right to the river itself, just to give you fair warning that, hey, we have a dangerous situation going on here. We have a good line of storms that is producing all kinds of severe weather that's taking place, including a lot of lightning that, as Jenna just mentioned, producing some power outages here and there as well. So we want to make sure that you are well informed. Just because you look outside, look to the west like, well, I see some dark clouds here and there, but I don't see much at all. These are going to be changing, the skies are going to be changing very quickly, so that's why it's time for you to kind of get in your safe place. As Andrew just mentioned, a lot of kids are going to school right now or getting to school. It's fair warning just to make sure that you get there safe enough. Of course, all the schools have their weather plans all ready to go. Of course, making sure that you're in the hallway, making sure that either if you're not in the hallway, covering up your head. Of course, they're very likely in the basement as well, because we are talking about some wind that is strong enough certainly to do some damage as it continues to make its way from west to east. You can see the nice bend that we're noticing right here, and what we usually focus on is the leading edge of that bend. So here's the immediate Quad Cities, and there is the leading edge of that bend. So we're very likely getting some very strong winds here, enough to possibly even do some damage. So this is what we're really concerned about here as well. It's just not the tornado warnings that we see here in several of our hometowns, but also the bend that we see producing some very strong winds. Keep in mind, it doesn't have to spin to produce damage, right? So that's kind of what we're looking at right here. And because these storms are moving so quickly, you can see even these warnings are well off to the east. Even right near Geneseo itself, likely the sirens are going off because of the fast movement of this system. We just want to make sure that you are aware about the situation, that you're going to be going to your safe place, you're planning and preparing. And know there's some people like the past week or so that have already picked up some plants. They've already got some potted up, hanging as well. You got some time here. If you're especially on the eastern edge of this warning, it might be a good idea to bring those potted plants close to the house or bring them in your garage, because those are going to act like projectiles. And we certainly don't want to be in a situation when we're dealing with all this wind and we're dealing with that kind of situation with the potted plants and such. I've seen it before. It's not a pretty sight when situations like that happen. So make sure you kind of bring those in if you can, especially if you're watching us on the eastern side of these severe thunderstorm warnings that continue on across the area. But that's a good bend that we see here. Let's go back and show you once again. Now we have the warnings are out, but this is the one we're really concerned about with this tornado warning. You can see the little dent right here, okay? That's a signal to us that there is some circulation taking place right there. You can see the inflow going into the storm. That color that you see here, those are the winds that are actually moving away from the radar site. And then you got the color blue and green coming toward the radar site. So that is where we're seeing that circulation. And we're hopefully going to see this system move out of here and hopefully stays more in farm fields than anything, and not in some of our towns that we're noticing around here too. But by looking at the latest loop, it almost seemed like it wants to go more east-northeast, okay? So for people who are in Maquoketa, Delmar, I would say Welton, Charlotte, Preston, you're not in that tornado warning yet. You're in the severe thunderstorm warning, but we're concerned that we could extend this tornado warning out even farther eastward. So make sure that you are all ready to go, that you are heading to your safe place. And if you're able to do all that, then you know what? That level of fear goes down. That's one of the things that when we go on school visit, no matter how young, no matter how old you are, we want to make sure that you have that plan, you're prepared, you're ready to take action. And that's always a good thing, because that's a thing that's always a concern, especially in these situations that, you know, you have that fear, you can't think straight. But if you have that plan, you're all ready to go. So once again, tornado warning for this until about 8:30. Clarence, Grand Mountain, Loudon, Wheatland. You're all impacted by that storm that has that notch in it and continues to make its way off toward the east. And keep in mind, folks, that this is the first of possibly 2 waves that we may be dealing with here as we go throughout the day. This is the first one, and the second one expected to be arriving sometime by mid or late afternoon. That's when the front will be coming on through the area and producing maybe another line of some showers and thunderstorms. We have to deal with the level of instability that's going to be pretty much left over from this first wave. Andrew, what we got here? I think we have I-80, 280 right now, and the rain is already coming down. Kind of hard to see if, we can start noticing some of that wind starting to pick up with some of the brush that we're noticing just off to the left.
Yeah, some really dark skies coming in there as well. You've got the rain that's likely going to be picking up in intensity as we go throughout the next 10 to 15 minutes here or so. So that is something we're going to be watching too. I mean, the heart of the morning commute is what we're talking about here. Heavy rain, reduced visibility, that is going to create a significant impact to travel here this morning, in addition to the wind and, yes, that tornado threat that is going to be moving through. Don't forget, it's not just the immediate Quad Cities that's going to see these strong winds. This severe thunderstorm line extends all the way down to Minneapolis and just now getting out of Mount Pleasant. So this is an extensive line. It's going to have a lot of wind, a lot of lightning, and a lot of rain that's going to be coming through for it. I think at this time we're safe to say that Muscatine, you're in the clear. The strongest part of that storm has now moved off to your east, but Walcott is just now getting into it, Andalusia as well, moments away from that storm entering into Aledo. At Dixon, Iowa, you're starting to see the first impacts of that storm. Don't forget, you were under a tornado warning and definitely capable of seeing a quick spin up on the leading edge of that line. More strong to severe storm activity continuing to the north of that. Still, your initial heads up, again, for Maquoketa and also Charlotte, need to get ready. This is where that rotating area of storms is, and it's heading right in your direction to the north and to the east. And it looks like we have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning to talk about. So let's go down. And yes, it includes those of you watching from Knox County. So Galesburg now included in a severe thunderstorm warning. That's for Henderson, Knoxville, Watauga, and of course, Galesburg proper, 60-mile-an-hour winds. That's going to go until 8:45 this morning. So no, not even Monmouth or Galesburg is immune to this. Also, just north of Burlington, you've got a severe thunderstorm warning. That includes Occoquan. Minneapolis is in that. It's actually moving in right now. It appears the worst part of this storm is going to go just to your north if you're in Burlington. So you're still going to get a good rush of wind, but it looks like the 60-plus mile-an-hour winds, those are going to be reserved for areas that are north of Burlington. Still, though, do expect a good rush of wind through your hometown. A little further to the north we go, including the immediate Quad Cities. I mean, this is now just getting into the metro. There you see it's now in Bluegrass. We're just moments away from getting the stronger wind gusts into Davenport, Rock Island, and Moline here. Let's go back to the velocity really quickly, where we continue to really keep a close eye to see where some of these areas of rotation are developing. And we're still seeing, again, the best potential for a brief spin-up tornado right here as you go into parts of southwest Clinton County and southwest Jackson County. That's our immediate area of concern for a quick spin-up tornado, where you've got this line moving off to the north and to the east. It looks like we also have a new tornado warning to talk about too, just popping up on our Storm Track 8 up there on the screen. Let's go ahead and zoom this back out, and there we go. New tornado warning now includes a good chunk of Rock Island County, including Moline, Kelowna, Orion, Geneseo. As that's coming through, you're probably hearing perhaps your emergency alerts go off on your phone. If you live in those areas, including here in the Quad Cities, the sirens will likely start sounding. It does include Geneseo too. That tornado warning goes until 8:30 this morning. No surprise there, James, that they went ahead and issued that. Jenna's got a quick update I hear for us right now at the desk.
Yeah, I think we're going to take a live picture right now. This is, I believe it's on 53rd in Davenport over by the Cinemark parking lot. You can kind of see those clouds are looking pretty dark. I want to see if our control room can go back to our shot earlier that we had up of I-80 at 280, because it's looking like a much different picture than we looked at it a few minutes ago. There we go. Look how much dark it's gotten. This is not that same 280 interchange, but this is at Northwest Boulevard. But look how dark the sky is getting out there. I do want to let you guys know we are monitoring our inboxes for any photos that you guys send in or videos. Of course, while you're being safe, taking those, you can email those to us at news@wqad.com, or you can text those to 309-304-088. Of course, being safe and staying indoors if you can. This is another look at downtown Davenport from our Eagle Eye camera. Look at how dark those clouds are out there. You can see that the flag has kind of picked up. We took this live camera a few times in Good Morning Quad Cities this morning, and the flag was going, but you can just see how as these storms have started to come in, just how much more it's going. I have seen a little bit ago that Iowa City canceled its transit services for today. For the time being, I have double checked Metro Illinois Quad Cities. I haven't seen a post from them letting people know that those have been canceled for today. I'll keep an eye on that. If that changes, we'll let you guys know. Andrew, are you ready for me to send it back to you?
Yeah, we're continuing to track the extension of a new tornado warning that again includes a good chunk of Rock Island County, most of western Henry County right now. And yeah, we're looking at the velocity data, and that's where we continue to see that notching, or where you've got wind moving towards and away from the radar, getting very close to one another here, just west of the immediate Quad Cities. Let me peel off that layer for a second here so you can see which areas are now under this brand new tornado warning. Yes, all of the Quad Cities on the Illinois side, East Moline, Cleveland, all the way to Geneseo, and yes, Atkinson, Orion, Osco, Kanye Center, all of that included in this tornado warning. So if you're in that, you need to be seeking shelter right now. It's going to be hard to see. This is not one of those things you can go to the front porch and see it coming in your direction. These things are wrapped in rain, very low visibility. Don't be, thinking you're going to be in the situation. This is going to be a situation where it's going to come up on your location very quickly, and you're not going to be able to see too much of it ahead of time. It looks like we have yet another new tornado warning that has just popped up, and that's going to be for northern Jackson County, including Otter Creek just west of Bellevue. So this tornado potential, James, it looks like it continues to increase from about Interstate 80 to the northern extent of this line of storms that's moving through.
Right. I mean, we're dealing with a lot of these what we call little couplets, okay? These little brief spin-ups that are taking place ahead of the main line itself. So really, this is no surprise that we're seeing some of this activity begin to pop up along this line. There has been no weakening of this line at all, but that's a little couplet that they're watching right there just south of Bernard and kind of making its way off to the north and east. So once again, a very dangerous situation. Better view here with the velocity mode here. You can actually see, there you go. Yeah, little notch right there. And those are the ones that, when we are dealing with a line like this, it's really hard to determine, what part of that line you're going to have these brief little couplets pop up or these brief spinners. But no question, you can see just south of Bellevue Cascade right there, just south of Bernard, that's a nice little couplet that we're seeing right here. That's why they issued the tornado warning for this particular area until about 8:30. Of course, there's another warning behind that. That's until about 8. That will probably likely be canceled, mainly because of the main line that has already made its way off to the east. So once again, if you're watching us in Otter Creek, Lamont, and places around Bellevue, let's go and put a tracker on this because, folks, that's what we do. We track storms. And you can see we're going to go and put that right there where the couplet is and go ahead and extend to that polygon. You can see these are the times that we're looking at. So around Bellevue, we're talking about 8:24 for you. Galena, you're not too far away, about 8:28 if it holds together. And then farther west as you go around Lamont, around 8:11 or so, and that's in about 15 minutes or so. So make sure that you are not going outside to check this out. We have spotters out there. We have chasers out there that are going to keep us in detail what is taking place with that storm. The important thing right now is to make sure that you're heading to your safe place. Get as many walls between you and the storm outside. You do that, you're going to be just fine. My biggest concern is it's garbage pickup day. Same for you. So hopefully everything will be fine when I get in my neighborhood. Maybe it might be a challenge. I don't know. We'll see. But it's just not here in the Quad Cities. But wherever you are east of this line, you're going to be definitely impacted by this particular storm. So there's your tornado warning until around 8:30. Let's kind of scroll our way down. If you are just joining us, you're probably like, what's going on? I'm hearing sirens already. Yeah. We've got numerous warnings that are out here with this particular storm. Very gusty in nature with some of these storms. A lot of lightning. We're getting reports of some power outages off to the west of us. Excuse me. This tornado warning is till 8:30 or so. Grand Mound, Loudon, Oxford Junction, Wheatland. So that goes on for at least another half hour or so. This is on the reflectivity mode. Hard to find those little notches that we see right there. But if we went to the velocity mode, there we go. We can actually see some of those notches. And as we're showing you this, you can see the camera out there to the left. Okay, that is at the 53rd Street Theater out there, looking toward the west. Okay, that parking lot right there. We have our vehicle out there, our beast is out there, looking out to the west. The winds are actually starting to pick up. I noticed on the way over here too, Andrew, that there was a lot of scud clouds making their way very quickly from southwest to northeast. Those are usually a sign of some developing formation that's going on just to the west of it, developing storm system to the west, and that's certainly what we're noticing with some of those clouds. That wind definitely is picking up. The skies are getting very dark that we're noticing, and you can see in downtown Davenport, my goodness, that wind is really picking up at all. You can see the American flag just whipping, making the winds are actually moving from west to east, really hauling, and you can see some of that rain already taking place right now with that storm that's now making its way around the immediate Quad Cities. We got severe thunderstorm warnings that are out for the immediate Quad Cities, and you can see from the Quad City International Airport and points eastward, we have that tornado warning that is out as well. So the reason why we have both of these warnings out is because we're not only dealing with some pretty strong, intense winds coming down from the storm itself, but we're getting these little notches that are taking place in front of the storm as well. And that's usually an indication of some brief spin-ups that are taking place ahead of the storm, and that's a big concern, and that's why we have these warnings that are taking place. I believe this is at our station here in Moline, also kind of looking off toward looks more looking toward the south itself. The street lights have actually already come on. Because of the darkening skies that are going on. Not seeing any rain as of yet, but I would say in probably, less than 10 minutes or so, Andrew, maybe 5, that we'll start seeing some of that rain come down. We'll start probably hearing some of the wind taking place just outside our station as well here in Moline. So once again, numerous warnings that are popping up. There's that tornado warning out for areas from the Quad City International Airport and points eastward. That is until 8:30. You can see that extends all the way out to Geneseo and Atkinson. Let's go ahead and put a tracker on that as well. And as we're doing that, you can see from our Bridgepoint camera, my goodness, look how those skies are getting darker and darker and darker. So my goodness, that's you can tell we're going to get a lot of change here in a very short period of time. Look at that, Andrew.
Yeah, that's really getting dark now.
I'll be curious if, I'm not sure we can do this, but if we can actually turn that camera more off to the west, and we'll very likely seeing maybe this sheet of rain that we're probably experiencing just to the west of the I-74 bridge itself. But if we can't, that's all right. But we are getting a whole lot of wind coming down the river itself from that line of storms that are getting ready to push on in. The darkening skies that we see, the scud clouds that are ahead of it as well, indicating that we definitely do have a severe storm that is getting ready to pounce on the immediate Quad Cities itself. So we're turning our Bridgepoint camera. This is live. This is not recorded. And as we kind of slowly do, you can see that usually on a good day, you can have no problem seeing downtown Davenport. But you can see that the visibility is really dropping, some extremely heavy rain. Keep in mind there is a lot of lightning taking place along this line that it continues to make its way off to the east. So keep in mind, hopefully you have a charged phone. Hopefully you have some nice charged batteries for your flashlight, because we could be talking about some brief power outages, especially around the immediate Quad Cities. And I don't know, Andrew, I think that's a pretty nice little shelf cloud that we see on the Bridgepoint camera.
Yeah, really nice shelf cloud. And it helps too that we've increased the moisture this morning. That's kind of what favors these things to form, as you get that rush of rain-cooled air scooping up all of the humid, warm, moist air ahead of it. And there's a lot of motion on there too. You know, you're going to see these rapidly moving clouds, and perhaps some that may appear that they're spinning, but we have to remember sometimes those are called your scud clouds. You really got to stare at them to make sure that what you're looking at isn't a scud cloud. But boy, are we starting to see things escalate here in the immediate Quad Cities. We're getting the rain starting. The wind is also moved in. What are you seeing outside?
There's a whole lot of wind going on out there. Yeah, clumps of leaves that are taking place, and looks like, unfortunately, let's go back to one of us if we can, or at least go to the radar itself. kind of lost the Bridgepoint camera on that, mainly because of the wind, maybe the loss of signal as well. There we go. So let's do this. I think we just have another, do we have a new tornado warning that just popped up?
Yeah, it looks like this one's further north.
Wow, look at this, and look at the extension of this, Andrew. My goodness, making his way even as far east as Clinton, maybe right near the Erie Prophetstown area, just west of Savannah. So this tornado warning is out until 8:45. So definitely a good 40 minutes or so. So why are we seeing all these tornado warnings out? Because we're getting these little couplets that are taking place along the line itself. Couplets are little brief spin-ups that are taking place along the line, and that's why we're seeing all these tornado warnings that are popping up all the way from Highway 20 right through the immediate Quad Cities itself. This tornado warning you see is until 8:30. That's still another 30 minutes, but look at these little notches. Look at that. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. There's 4 north of Donahue itself. So that's just from one tornado warning itself. And there's another one right near Eldridge. We can see that as well. Right here, that is the Mount Joy Airport. That is where the Doppler radar, National Weather Service, is located. Okay, so we have that notch, a little notch there. And now we're concerned about maybe seeing a possible notch just now, I would say west of Coyne Center. We're probably seeing, now we're in velocity mode here, so we might be seeing a little notch right there. Possibly even another notch right west of Reynolds, right there in Illinois 94. So that's why we're throwing these warnings out, okay? Those notches may be gone for a brief, but then they do come back just because of what we're dealing with the conditions going on along this particular line. And then when you add it all up, okay, let's wind the shot even more, Andrew. You're dealing with this bend, okay? This bending that's going on. And that is a sign of some very strong winds that are associated with it. So it's not just the little couplets that we're watching producing these brief spin-ups, but we're talking about the strong winds that are taking place with this entire line that continues to make its way from west to east. So that is the big concern that we have here. That's why we're throwing all these warnings out, at least from the National Weather Service. They're the ones that issue the warnings, tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings. They're issuing these warnings out well in advance just because the storm itself, this line of storms that we see here, is moving about, what, Andrew? I think, let's check, 60 miles an hour or so?
Yeah, 55,
60 miles an hour. 60 miles an hour that we're noticing with that line as that continues to make its way off to the east. So a well-defined storm. I think some people are probably talking about, Andrew, well, are we dealing with a derecho here, okay? And usually we have to kind of monitor the movement of this, the distance it takes place, the winds that are associated with, the sustained winds that are associated with. So usually we look for several hours of a weather system like this to actually determine, yeah, we got a derecho that's taking place. This is just actually has developed, I would say it's 8 o'clock right now. It's been about, what, about an hour and a half or 2 hours, you guess you would say, as far as what we're seeing with the development of this. So it could very likely be the case. We haven't heard much as far as the wind gusts out of this. Andrew's got keeping in contact with our friends at the National Weather Service. We haven't heard much as far as the intensity of the winds. We did get some reports. We're getting some hail out of this as well. Something we haven't mentioned out of this, and you can see the blue there indicating that we are getting some hail. Possibly right now, and there's a big difference compared to what we saw, I would say, about half an hour ago, where we had some yellow on there, even some specks of green, possibly indicating quarter-size hail. But now we're getting some of that light orange. So that may be a situation where the line of storms itself is producing a strong downdraft, and it's not allowing some of these small hailstones to actually make its way in the colder reaches of the thunderstorm itself. And thus not allowing it to be at a size where it can cause some damage. So if there's any good news behind this storm system that is coming on through, this line of storms, is that we don't have to worry about the hail. We have to deal with the wind. We have to deal with the brief power outages that may be taking place, because it's not just the wind. We're getting a whole lot of cloud-to-ground lightning going on here as well. And of course, we have to be concerned about the brief spin-its that are going on as well. So this is why we have all these warnings that are going on across the area. That looks like could be another possible little couplet that could be possibly taking place. Looks like just around, I would say, that could be 280 right there, maybe just west of Kelowna. would you say? I mean, it's really hard to say because we're getting so close to the radar site itself, Andrew.
Yeah, I think that would be another area of concern for sure. I've been kind of watching that on a different couple of our other radar products that we use here in the studio. I think that's an area, especially just southwest of Maquoketa, right along Interstate 80 there in the junction of 280 and, of course, 74. That looks like that's an area that we're really going to have to keep a very close watch on here. Again, that area is under a tornado warning, so that's why we're telling you, if you're in Kelowna, Geneseo, right in that junction, that's where it looks like we've got some rotation there, James.
That's right. Let's kind of expand this out a little bit here. Excuse me. It's that morning little frog. I guess can't get rid of it. Gonna get some water. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And once again, now the storms, you can see, at least the strongest part of the storms now making its way onto the Illinois side. Remember, we got warnings that are stretched all the way out as far east as we can, given the speed of these storms, making sure that you have an advanced warning that you are getting to your safe place. Please, please don't try and go out and find the storm itself, find the circulation, find the lightning. Don't worry about it. We're going to take care of that for you. We've got the cameras that are out. We have chasers that are out there as well. So make sure all we care about is making sure that you kind of get to your safe place. But once again, a lot of warnings that are going on. We'll keep an eye on this warning that we see here till 8:45. That includes Kelowna. That includes Geneseo as well. If we get a chance here, Andrew, when you get a chance, I know you're trying to find some more data here. Let's get a tracker on this, if we can.
Because I just noticed we had a change in color on that polygon. It is now a hotter shade of pink, which means it's no longer radar confirmed. It is actually confirmed from the National Weather Service. As I zoom this in a little bit closer, you're going to see that switch in our banner.
Right here?
To confirm tornado.
There it is.
And there it is. So we do have a confirmed tornado on the ground right now per the National Weather Service.
And I think I'm starting to hear a little bit of that pea-sized hail that is actually taking place. Fortunately, we have a door just outside our station here. And yes, we do have some hail going on here. It still looks like pea-sized, and is exactly what we're noticing on our radar as well. Okay, so we got the nice algorithms that can tell us the size of the hailstones that are taking place. And fortunately, we're getting some of that even right now as we speak here in Moline itself. But once again, this is a confirmed tornado on the ground. It's not radar indicated anymore. We have a tornado. We have a tornado on the ground just east of the Quad City International Airport. This is, I believe, 280 that we see here.
Yep.
See here. Yep. Or not. Yeah. Here's it goes 280 right here. Here's 74. Here's 80 right there. So we're kind of getting ready to meet into that intersection right there of where the possible tornado could actually be. And unfortunately, we just don't want it right around Kelowna. We already had a report of some, of course, we had, what was it, about a year or so ago, we had that tornado that did some small damage over in Kelowna. We just don't want to see any more damage out there. This is, I believe, is that the theater, 53rd? Can I get a confirmation in the booth on that?
Yep.
Okay.
That is the 53rd.
And with all the wind, you can see all the clumps of leaves that are taking place, indication of that gust of wind that is coming ahead of that storm itself. So, yeah, we've got a little bit of some clumps of leaves, possibly even in your backyard as well. This is actually looking, 53rd Theater is actually located just east of the east of I-74, right there in Davenport itself. We're actually looking toward the west, and I believe, let's see from here, it's just right now it's kind of more of a blinding rain. We're not seeing much as far as any lightning with that, but no question we're going to get some very heavy rain and maybe a good half an inch of rain in a very short period of time as that storm continues to make its way off toward the east. So if you're watching us in Geneseo, time right now is 8:11. The storm continues the same path. This storm will be impacting you in about, I would say, 13 minutes or so from now, okay? So make sure that you are in your safe place. We do have a tornado on the ground. It is not radar indicated anymore. There actually is a tornado on the ground. Was that indicated by the way, a storm chaser out there, Andrew, or did it?
Let's see.
We're assuming it is because
weather spotters.
Weather spotters, okay, that are out and about checking out that storm. So once again, tornado warning. Get to your safe place right away. Let's go ahead and kind of expand this out for people who are just joining us. It's just not this tornado warning that we have here. We got several more up to the north itself. This tornado warning, that is until 8:45. This one is radar indicated, and that's obvious what we've been noticing on the velocity mode around here from Maquoketa all the way down near Declare itself. And we had to focus on those little notches, okay, those little couplets, ones that kind of go in like so. There's one obvious one located just north of DeWitt itself. Okay, there's a couplet right there just west of Charlotte. That is making its way off toward the east. So that's why we have that tornado warning out. If you're watching us in Preston, okay, it's coming your way. It is coming your way. And if it continues to hold its course, Savannah, you're not in the tornado warning as of yet, but likely it's going to be extended in your hometown. Thompson as well, even around Mount Carroll, okay, if it holds together. This hasn't really broken down, this line itself, in the past hour and a half, okay? So we're likely going to extend these warnings out even more, concerned about these brief spin-ups that can cause certainly some damage as that makes its way off to the east. So this is why we're kind of in our velocity mode here, able to see these little couplets, indentations that are going on within the line itself. We got that one located just north of Wheatland, northwest of DeWitt itself. You can see that couplet. I'm surprised that, not only did we get it radar indicated, but I wouldn't be surprised if we actually have a tornado on the ground with that one too. That's just west of 61 there, between Maquoketa and DeWitt. And Andrew's going to be, it's right here. That's a tornado on the ground right there. That's got to be a tornado on the ground, what we're seeing here, because that's a well-defined couplet that we're noticing right here. So we're going to likely get maybe some additional information on that in just a little bit. But it's safe to say that's got to be a tornado right there on the ground. Heading toward Welton. Get in your safe place right away, Welton, okay? That is coming right towards you. That is coming right towards you as it makes its way from west to east, okay? Hopefully it spares the town itself. We don't know the particulars behind it, how big and how small it is, how strong the winds are. But when you start seeing these couplets, these are couplets that come out so suddenly, and you have to be really on top of it when you're on the velocity mode to check these out, okay? Because they come and they go. They come and they go. So there's one couplet right there. There could be another little notch just northwest of Welton on that. So we've got pretty much two of them here. Let's see what we got here. We got that one right there northwest of Welton. And then we got this one possibly trying to develop just southwest of Welton itself. So we got maybe two couplets that are taking place here. But this is the one that we've been noticing that has a much better signature, that we like to call it. So that's moving on to the east. Charlotte, Preston, Miles, and if we had to go even farther, even around Clinton, though Clinton right now, at least when it comes to that, tornado, maybe that may be just to your north. But keep in mind, we got that line all the way down. There could be another couplet that could be developing right there in the Wapsie itself, just west of 61. So we got to keep an eye on that. This is going to go on, folks, for maybe another hour or two for us, as long as this holds itself together. The whole line itself, and Andrew, this is great. The whole line itself is still holding together. We're still getting some very strong winds, likely within this line itself, maybe getting those winds either at or over 60 miles an hour. We felt that wind just outside our station here in Moline. So we're likely going to probably get that as well with that part of the storm right near the Quad Cities itself and points northwards or around Comanche, around Clinton, Morrison. Okay, home of the Mustangs. All right, 8:59 we're looking at, so that's a good 45 minutes or so. I don't think that line is going to break down at all as it continues to make its way off toward the east. Camera shot from outside of Moline. Right outside our studios, some very heavy rain that has been taking place. It looks like the worst of the storm itself has now made its way just east of our station, but still there's a lot of lightning going on. Not sure about the power outage update on that. Jenna, have you heard anything on any power outages?
Yeah, let me pull it up right now. Last we checked, there really, and this was before the storm started really moving into our area, so there wasn't a lot. Surprisingly, I'm still not, on looking at Mid-American, I'm still not seeing very many in the immediate Quad Cities. They're only reporting 23 outages on the Iowa side, only one on the Illinois side. Des Moines, earlier we told you about, had well over 24,000 power outages. They're up to close to 36,000 over there. Well over 3,000 out in Fort Dodge, close to 2,000 out in Waterloo. But still, it's maybe people are still waking up. They're still trying to get themselves ready for the day. I'm not seeing a ton in our immediate area so far,
that's good,
which is a good sign. I've been monitoring the Quad Cities International Airport. They are not reporting any delays right now, which is surprising.
Very much so.
There's a flight supposed to, I think, leave at 9 o'clock, and I would not be surprised if that is going to be delayed. But so far on their website, everything is labeled as on time.
That's good. That is good. We want to keep it that way. We want to keep any type of, keep the threat low, keep the damage at low as much as we can. And that's good that we haven't heard anything about any type of damage from this particular line. But there could be some areas where the power goes off and then it comes right back on again. So that's kind of what we've been kind of hinting on ever since this line was making its way toward our viewing area. So that's why we want to make sure people realize that those situations can happen. This is something we talked about yesterday with these two lines that eventually will be coming in. This is the first line that we're noticing that was going to be, the threat was going to be some hail or some strong gusty thunderstorm winds. And that certainly has been the case, but we also are dealing with the right conditions for these little brief spin-ups or couplets that are taking place ahead of the line itself. Andrew, any updates on your side, especially from our friends at the National Weather Service?
We have received at least one hail report, just almost shy of quarter-size hail in Muscatine as these storms were moving through earlier. Again, the National Weather Service continues to issue these larger tornado warnings because, as James said earlier, we have so much wind dynamic in play here ahead of this line that you really could get a quick spin-up tornado really at any moment. The only confirmed tornado we have right now that is actually confirmed, not radar confirmed, but confirmed, deals with this tornado warning that is ongoing for parts of North and Henry County into parts of Rock Island County. Now, it looks like for the most part, the worst of this is just about ready to get out of the Quad Cities International Airport. But the worst of it is getting ready to move into Kelowna, and it's just moments away from traveling right along Interstate 80 and getting into Geneseo. We've just been having to keep a constant eye on the velocity scan or the wind movement scan part of the radar here, because again, at any moment we've been watching these little pop-up tornadoes spin around. And in fact, there was a confirmed tornado earlier again, just southwest of the Quad Cities International Airport and southwest of Kelowna. So I have not received any further or new confirmation regarding that tornado. So it may have lifted by now, especially looking at some of the velocity data that may have been the case. I'm not seeing that notch that we had earlier on the radar presentation, but certainly I think folks in Henry County still need to be taking their tornado precautions because we're talking about this line capable of spinning up a tornado at any moment. Don't want to forget about our folks too south of the Quad Cities. Don't forget Galesburg. You're next in line for that severe thunderstorm warning that continues until 8:45 this morning. That is a wind threat, not so much a hail threat that far south. This is mostly wind up to 60 miles an hour. The strongest part of this storm, it is north of Burlington, Gladstone, Stronghurst, Roseville. You are not included in any warnings right now. Just a good rush of wind, some heavy rain expected in your location there. Even all the way down to Monmouth, you're not included in any of that. Or actually, excuse me, Monmouth, you are included in that. If you're south of Monmouth, right on 67, you're not included in that. But Monmouth, yeah, you're going to get a good rush of wind along with Galesburg here shortly. In fact, let's go ahead and just put the track on that really quickly and show you when that is expected to arrive, especially getting into Galesburg and Abingdon and then into McQuon. There you see Galesburg. We got about 8:30, so 10 minutes or so. Knoxville coming in there at 8:39, and then Toulon into Stark County as we get closer to the 9 o'clock hour. So the southern extent of this line of storms, it's a wind threat. Along and north of Interstate 80, it is a wind, hail, and tornado threat that we've been tracking all morning long. And it's easy to see why the tornado threat is where it's at. If you look at the radar presentation, I'm going to peel away the layers. You want to look for where that line starts kind of getting into that comma shape, like a comma head, where we start curling it back to the northwest. That's where your highest tornado potential is going to be. And that's exactly what we have seen nearly all morning long. It's been right in that region. So if you're along Interstate 80 and you're not in a tornado warning yet, I would say Anawan, Prophetstown, Sterling, Rock Falls, Morrison, keep an eye on this line as it continues to move in your direction because you're in the tornado zone, if you will, where we certainly have some of the right conditions popping up and the orientation of the wind field to that line of storms where we could see that warning issued really at any moment. Looks like we're just almost there at the edge of these warnings, so we're likely going to see a new round of warnings probably issued in the next 5 to 10 minutes for more of our Illinois hometowns here.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and Andrew makes a great point. You know, this is some of the things that we kind of learned in school when it comes to when you're dealing with a line like this, where's the best chance for seeing these little brief spinouts or these couplets, and you kind of look where the where the extension is on this line that we see here. We kind of focus on where the leading edge of it is. As you can see, it's like kind of right here in Geneseo, but the better chance or better conditions to see these couplets pop up is from there north as you go, okay? And that's why we're dealing with all these tornado warnings that are from in this particular area alone, whereas south as you go, it's really more of a wind threat that is taking place, okay? So that's kind of what we're going on. But this whole line has a whole lot of wind with it. It's just from the leading edge of that line and go north is where you have the right conditions for these brief spin-ups to take place. Okay, so that's why we have those warnings out across the area right now. The only real concern that we have here is that little couplet right there, just north and west of Geneseo. We actually have a horse in that area right there. Oh my goodness. That's where the couplet is right there. And it continues to make its way off to the east. Okay, that's where we're seeing some circulation. And keep in mind, this is not a radar indicated now. This is a confirmed tornado that is on the ground. But right there on Wolf Road itself, just northwest of Geneseo, there is likely some type of circulation that is going on, very likely a tornado that's on the ground here. It's a kind of a weak signature that we have here, but nonetheless, it does have that couplet, that indentation right there along that line as it continues to make its way off to the east. So once again, if you're in this warning, and I think this is, let's see here. There we go. I mean, here's Geneseo right here. The couplet, that tornado is probably just north of town itself. So Atkinson, Kelowna, Geneseo, Osco, you're all in this tornado warning. Make sure you're in your safe place. Make sure you got as many walls between you and the storm itself. But that is where we're likely seeing a tornado on the ground, just west of Illinois 82 on Wolf Road. That's where we're likely seeing some type of little spin up that is taking place as that continues to make its way off toward the east.
Yeah, James, we just got confirmation from the National Weather Service seconds ago that a confirmed tornado is indeed still on the ground. So it's not lifted, it's still there. In fact, it's near Green River, moving very quickly to the east at 50 miles an hour. So still confirmed on the ground.
50 miles an hour, my goodness. And the whole line itself that we're seeing, not just here, but throughout most of this line that's crossing now into Illinois, is moving at about good 50, 60 miles an hour or so. This is a very fast-moving system. That's why these warnings are extending away as far east as they can, making sure that everyone is hearing the sirens. Don't find out what's going on. When the sirens go off, it means you got a storm system on its way that is producing a lot of extreme weather, okay, from lightning to very heavy rain to possibly some tornadoes, even a strong gust of wind, maybe over 60 miles an hour. So the sirens are indicating it's time to go to your safe place. Look at that, my goodness. This tornado warning, once again, until 8:45. That's another just over 20, 25 minutes to go. This is the area along that line where the best chance for these brief spin-ups could be taking place. And they're like, you know, they must be reading my mind here, Andrew. Because I was going to say, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if they extended that warning out just around Geneseo itself. And you can see that new tornado warning is out. So let's kind of get the update on that, Andrew. And I'll let you take it over as far as the details behind this for this warning that goes until 9:15.
Yeah, now still confirmed. You notice it's that hot pink color. That tells us that is a confirmed tornado. When it's the dark pink, that means radar indicated. So the National Weather Service still continuing to see that, yes, we're getting reports of a confirmed tornado. Again, it was at last check at about 5 minutes ago. It was near Green River, moving to the east at 50 miles an hour. James showed you where we had that notch in the velocity data. So now continuing with that, there's your new tornado warning that goes all the way along Interstate 80 and now includes parts of Bureau County, Northwest Bureau County, Sheffield, Anawan, Hoopole, you're included in this. Geneseo is also included in this new warning too, because we continue to see that consistent signature regarding that spin and that tornado warning. It also includes, by the way, parts of southeast Whiteside County. You are included in that too. So right now, the National Weather Service saying that confirmed tornado was located near Shady Beach or 12 miles east of East Moline, moving to the east at 50 miles an hour. And it's not just the tornado that's a threat. Now we also have the threat of some $50 size hail being lofted in there too. And James, I see we just picked up this too, a new severe thunderstorm warning now expanding this all the way out to all of Bureau County. Princeton is included in this. Ladd, Buda, Depew, Lamoille, Walnut, Granville, you're all included in that new severe thunderstorm warning. 60+ mile-an-hour winds are possible, but our greatest concern, it continues to be this right here, that confirmed tornado that was near Green River or Shady Beach. That must be in rural Henry County there, likely north of Geneseo, where we've been seeing kind of this little signature here. We call it a notch, where we've got the green rotating into the red and vice versa. That's where we think we've got the developing rotation and, of course, the confirmed tornado that is now on the ground. But just because it's north of town in Geneseo doesn't mean we let our guard down for areas south of that. Atkinson, Anawan, Sheffield, New Bedford, Tampico need to be taking your tornado precautions right now. Hopefully the kids are at school. That's honestly the safest place for them to be right now. That is a fortified building that can withstand a lot of impactful weather. So that's something to keep in mind too. If you by chance haven't left for school yet and you're under a tornado warning, shelter where you're in place right now. You do not want to be on the roads as these storms are coming through. It looks like we also have a brand new tornado warning on another part of this line, and that just popped up now for Joe Davis County. That's north here along Highway 20. That is a new warning for a radar indicated tornado that does include Bellevue, just south of Galena, Elizabeth, also all the way up into northeast Joe Davis County. That's going to go until 9:15. So we're continuing to see this theme we've been talking about all morning long. Areas along and north of Interstate 80, you have the highest potential for tornadic activity. If you're south of Interstate 80, especially by more than just a few miles, that's where you're likely not going to have much in the way of tornado potential. It's more of a damaging wind threat. Just want to peek at the velocity data really quickly here. And yeah, we continue to see kind of these little notches develop. In fact, there's another one, looks like a really good signature showing up south of Bellevue. That's going to be heading in for the Elizabeth area. So if you're in Elizabeth, yes, there is some rotation indicated by Doppler radar that is moving right in your direction. Elizabeth, you need to be seeking shelter right now at this moment. Jenna, you got some more updates for us from the desk.
Yeah. We were talking about some of those power outages earlier, and I had told you guys about how Mid-American, I was really surprised, only had like 20 outages in the immediate Quad Cities, and that number has jumped significantly. We've gotten reports from people who work here that power's out in Geneseo, power's out in Coal Valley. There are now well over 5,000 people in the Illinois Quad Cities without power right now. About 92 on the Iowa Quad Cities. I saw about 200 Alliant customers out in the Walcott area are without power. Right now, the Quad Cities Airport is still showing that 9 o'clock flight to Denver on time. I'm not sure when that's going to refresh, but that's still showing on time. And I think we've got a couple photos and videos that people have sent in. We'll see if we can pull those up at all. This is a live look at Davenport. This was from Todd. He sent this to us just about 20 minutes ago as the storm moved through into Coal Valley. I was looking at it earlier, and I'm no expert, so I'll let you guys kind of talk about that. It looked like there was a little bit of rotation in those clouds. I don't know if that's something that you guys notice at all.
It's really hard to tell, I mean, from that, but no doubt this is part of the shelf cloud that is now making its, from the video itself, making its way over Coal Valley itself. And which right behind it, that's where you've got the wind. We had some of that hail, in pea-sized hail, at least here at our station. Likely that was the case over in Coal Valley. So yeah, you can see the bubbling of the clouds that we're noticing here. That's part of that shelf cloud, some of that warm air being lifted. The downdraft from that storm itself has much cooler air with it. So you kind of create this kind of wall of cloud. You can see that kind of wall. That's kind of what we're dealing with right there. So behind that is where you're getting a good amount of blinding rain, a lot of cloud to ground lightning, and with those downdrafts, you're getting a whole lot of wind as well. And we certainly felt that here at our station here in Moline. For some of the camera shots that we've noticed, some clumps of leaves here and there, maybe some small branches, but not so much as far as any, at least in the immediate Quad Cities, power outages itself. Now, from this standpoint, you can see that shelf cloud right there.
This is from Ashley in Illinois City.
Illinois City itself. Okay, so that's of course a little bit to the west. We cannot say just by this video alone that if that's a little clump that's just off to the right there. You know, we really can't tell if we see any type of circulation, but it's certainly obvious with that shelf cloud. You can see the extension behind it. It looks like the mothership. as we always like to say. That is certainly a signature of a very intense thunderstorm that is moving generally toward the camera person itself. So yeah, great shots that we have here. We want to thank all the people who've been sending in pictures to us, videos. The videos are awesome, okay? But, you know, keep in mind that in these situations, it's great to get some shots, but as long as the storm is well in advance, get the shots, but then come back in, certainly go to your safe place, and we'll have other people that would be taking some shots of the storm as it continues to make its way from west to east, Andrew.
Yeah, we're just almost done with that larger tornado warning that's sitting to the north and kind of east of the Quad Cities, stretching from Maquoketa down through DeWitt and Clinton and Erie. That's going to be wrapping up in about the next 13, 14 minutes or so. Our biggest concern continues to remain kind of two areas, not only that area, but also north of there now into Joe Davis County, where we've got a tornado warning, including Bellevue and Elizabeth into the northern part of that county. We've also got that confirmed tornado that is still on the ground, likely in parts of northern Henry County. Again, that was between Geneseo and Hillsdale is where that tornado was reported, moving quickly to the east. That is something that's definitely concerning, especially when we look at the velocity data. Not to mention that now we have this very large severe thunderstorm warning that is also now in place for nearly all of Henry County, all of Bureau County, and actually goes kind of into the tail end of Putnam County there, east of Bureau County. So be prepared for some very strong winds. Again, the tornado threat will continue to be tied to Interstate 80 and areas to the north of that. Really not expecting much tornadic activity to the south of there. Princeton still needs to be on guard, though, because notice that tornado warning to the west of you. It's right along the Interstate 80 corridor, and that's still kind of in that area where we could see one or two of those quick spin-ups. But if you're way south of that, much further south than, say, Princeton, your potential to see a tornado, I think, is much lower given the radar presentation that we've seen most of the morning. Just kind of going through the velocity here one more time to see if we have any of those notches coming in there. There's the tornado one that we were watching earlier. You can see it here. It's right along Illinois 92 now, north of Geneseo. If we put a track on that here, heading off almost due east. I think there's just a little bit of a northward component here, but it's mostly due east. We are talking about this eventually sliding to the south of Prophetstown. So if you're south of Prophetstown, especially near Tampico, this is where you need to really be taking this very seriously. This is where we've had that confirmed tornado moving to the east, a little bit of a northeastward turn with it at times. There you see New Bedford eventually getting into that too, in extreme western Bureau County as we reach the 9 o'clock hour. Reminder, yeah, we heard from the National Weather Service. They are still saying this is a confirmed tornado that is on the ground, likely producing some damage. And we are seeing a representation on radar that supports some evidence with that as well. Further down the line, very strong winds, Geneseo, Cambridge. That's why you're under the severe thunderstorm warning. You're seeing the yellows there, indicating gusts likely topping 60 miles an hour. We'll go back to the normal radar presentation, pull this a little bit further to the north. Again, we're watching this line further north where we have a little bit of some notching going on at times. I don't see anything too concerning right now popping up within that warning. A little bit of a notch there near Charlotte and Goose Lake. That could have some potential rotation with it. Don't forget you are under the tornado warning, in this case still until 8:45 this morning. A little bit further to the north, you can see why there's a warning now for Joe Davis County. We have a little bit of some rotation there. Nothing too tightly wound right now, some broad rotation getting ready to take off, but that's moments away from Elizabeth, and I'll give you a quick track on that there too. This one is heading more to the northeast. It's on the northern flank of this line of storms. There you see Elizabeth. We're getting that in there at about 48 minutes past the top of the hour into Woodbine, Stockton at 9:02, and then gets a little further into rural Joe Davis County after that. But two areas of concern, just wrapping those up for you really quick, and then it's just mainly a wind threat as you go further south along this line. There were no warnings again for any of you watching from Burlington. Monmouth, you're still in a severe thunderstorm warning with some gusty winds. You can certainly see there with those brighter yellows. But you see the line looks a little less intense the further south you go. In fact, it looks like they may have wrapped up that severe thunderstorm warning for you. I'm going to peel this off just to confirm. Yeah, it looks like we're in the clear for Monmouth, Roseville, Oquawka, you're not in that either. Aleto's done. Really, the immediate Quad Cities is, for the most part, in the clear. The Metro Quad Cities, we are done with this event, but now we're heading over to our Illinois hometowns for this.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth. As far as the immediate Quad Cities is concerned, if you're watching us from the Quad Cities itself, I think it's okay. the all clear is pretty much given, though we still got some rain out there. There's still some lightning still taking place, but the main line is now off to our east, now going to be impacting counties such as Whiteside, Henry, and even going eventually into Bureau County itself. So that is what the main threat is going on with this storm. Once again, we do have a confirmed tornado on the ground from this warning that we see here, given that notch that we're noticing down just north and east of Geneseo. Like we mentioned about Hoople in the path of this. I think Andrew is right. I think it's kind of making its way a little bit more north than due east. So Tampico, keep in mind that you may be impacted by that part of the storm that has that little brief spin up that's going on around the area. But the entire line itself continues to make its way off to the east. Good bending of that wind that we see there, indicating that there's still some really good wind associated with this storm. So that's why we're throwing this tracker out. Once again, we track storms around here, folks. And when it comes to tracking these storms, we want to make sure that the people that are within that track are well aware of the timing of when the storms will actually make its way around. So Sterling Rock Falls around 9:07. Princeton, I know things looking great early this morning. It's still pretty quiet. You're probably noticing some of those dark clouds off to your west, but it won't be long until that storm makes its way in your area around 9:21. And we can go as far east as LaSalle, Peru, even near Mendota, where about 9:45 that line holds together, which very likely it will. You'll be impacted by that storm with some cloud to ground lightning, some very blinding rain, maybe some hail. We just don't want anything that's going to cause damage as far as seeing those winds get in excess of 60 miles an hour, whether it may be straight line, whether it may be spinning. We just want to limit that. Hopefully, we'll kind of lose some of those characteristics from that one particular storm that is producing a tornado that is still on the ground just now north and east of Geneseo.
New tornado warning now popping up for northern Whiteside County, also Carroll County. That's going to go until 9:30. That is radar indicated rotation. So that new warning includes Prophetstown, Sterling Rock Falls, all the way up to Kalita, Morrison, Milledgeville, Lanark, Savannah, and Thompson now included in this. Again, it's no surprise. We're talking about areas north of Interstate 80 that continue to see that potential for a quick spin-up tornado. So now you are next in line. So if you're just in any one of those towns that I mentioned, this is due north of that other tornado warning that's confirmed down into Henry County. Time to start seeking our safe place and our shelters immediately. Let's go right to the velocity, and then we'll start tracking this through here, see what we're seeing on the radar presentation. Still monitoring for any of those little what we call notches, where we're starting to see some of the green or the red flow into each other in a very localized manner. I don't see anything too crazy again right now, just to the west of there, but it is worth keeping an eye on because at any moment you can get a little quick spin-up tornado along the leading edge of this line as it's moving through. Certainly it's got a lot of lightning with it. We've seen that here. Let's go ahead and zoom back out. We'll go ahead and track this whole line as it moves off to the north and to the east. We'll start with here, just to the southwest of Prophetstown, and then work our way off to the east so you can see the time of arrival in your specific hometown. This part of the line is moving a little bit more northerly since we're kind of on the come ahead, if you will, shape of this storm. There you see where we're going to be heading here. So we're talking Savannah in just a matter of moments. Mount Carroll at about 57 minutes past the hour. Sterling Rock Falls, this is coming in hot at about 9 o'clock. And then 18 minutes copping over to the Lee County, Illinois side in Dixon, and then out of our viewing area there at Freeport. But yeah, Sterling Rock Falls, Prophetstown, Linden, Kalita, all the way up through Lanark and Savannah. You should be taking your tornado precautions right now. That is a tornado warning until 9:30 this morning. No surprise there.
Yeah, no surprise at all. And folks, just make sure that you do have your Storm Track 8 weather app. Once again, you can be interactive with it. The warnings do pop up. Gives you specifics as to what part of the storm is the most dangerous. If we're talking about any tornadoes on the ground, it will let you know exactly where it is, where it's moving, who's going to be impacted. It's a fantastic tool to have when it comes to these situations. And I believe now we've got a new severe thunderstorm warning that has just popped up there for Stark County, I believe, Andrew.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to go ahead and pull this further east of Galesburg, so now all of Stark County is included in that severe thunderstorm warning for 60-mile-an-hour winds. That storm is just now moving into Galesburg, by the way. You can see it right on top of town there in the radar presentation. Just a couple of minutes away from Knoxville and Victoria, right along 167. Then it'll head for for Illinois 78 closer to Millbrook here in about the next half hour. But yeah, the confidence is there. Anytime you see warnings this far out ahead of the storm, that means high confidence from the National Weather Service that yes, this storm is producing impactful weather and we need to get the warning out well in advance. You're seeing the same thing here in Princeton. I mean, we don't even have the storms halfway through Henry County yet, and all of Bureau County is warned. That's because, again, we have high confidence that we're going to see some impactful weather, whether it's wind, hail, or an isolated tornado. All of the above, likely as that storm continues to move to the east. I kind of want to check back in on the Henry County storm here, just to see if we're seeing anything new in the radar presentation for velocity mode. You're still seeing that kind of here on the border of Henry and Whiteside County, where we've got a little bit of rotation there along Illinois 78. That's north of Hoop Hole. So that tornado warning continues, and that's still on track to get into Tampico here. Very, very shortly. Let's put a new tracker on that for you. Again, our concern with this storm has been north of Interstate 80, where we were seeing that radar indicated rotation. Looks like there's a live look from Prophetstown, by the way.
Wow.
That's at PLT High School, looking to the northwest, I believe, and that's a really nice looking shelf cloud.
That is really impressive, Andrew. Glad we were able to get that camera shot. Once again, out of Erie, Prophetstown right there from that part of the storm. You can see its movement from west to east, darkening skies out to the west. Once again, just in those darkening skies, you got a lot of rain. There's a lot of cloud ground lightning. There is a whole lot of wind coming down from that storm. So a very dangerous situation that we do have when it comes to this system as it continues to make its way to the east. Not only in those areas that we're noticing around Erie, Prophetstown, but along this line, especially from around areas around eastern Henry County and points northward. We're getting the same features that we're noticing, not just in Erie, Prophetstown, but also along this entire line itself, indicating that we do have a very serious situation going on with this line as it continues to make its way off toward the east. Here is Prophetstown, Illinois itself. We got a new severe thunderstorm warning that looks like it just popped up. We'll get that from Andrew here in just a second. But once again, we have multiple cameras out here on the Illinois side showing us the storm itself. Visibility right now, not too bad. This camera is, would you say, Andrew, just east of that line itself, from the camera itself, would you say?
Exactly, yeah. It's just north of town and Prophetstown there, so east of that line of storms still.
Okay, and behind that, that is where we're dealing with all the extreme weather that is taking place. So I believe we had a new severe thunderstorm warning up. Anytime you see our little app come up, our phone come up in the lower left-hand corner, it's an indication of a new warning that has popped up. So I think it goes around Stevenson.
Yeah, it looks like Stevenson County. So they've expanded that Joe Davis warning along with the one for Carroll County to now extend into Stevenson County.
Okay, and you can see just south of that, that's where we still have several tornado warnings that are going on across the area. Once again, anywhere where the leading edge of that bending is taking place and northward is usually the best place where you're going to find these little notches that pop up. These notches indicate these little spin-ups that are going on within that line itself, okay? So that's why we're seeing these warnings from Henry County, parts of northwestern Bureau County, and then points northward going into Whiteside and even around Carroll County. So this particular warning, taking a look at the clock here, still another 45 more minutes with that line. So Clinton, Savannah, even around Milledgeville, Sterling Rock Falls, of course, right now those storms are pretty much right there and around Erie, Prophetstown itself. And then farther south as you go, right around Sheffield, once again, under that tornado warning, likely around still about 9:15, okay, with that. And also keep in mind, there is that potential that we could be seeing maybe some quarter-size hail. That's enough to do some damage. But right now, what we're looking at from our hail potential here is a little green, little blue. So it's kind of on the low to moderate confidence that we are not only seeing some hail, but maybe the size of it could be maybe a little bit smaller. Okay, I'm not really too concerned about the hail itself. Haven't been seeing much. There was maybe a little brief little magenta that popped up, which once again indicates that we could be seeing some hail reaching the ground. But I think if we go to the hail size itself, Andrew, there's really not much, okay? So as far as kind of ranking these, not worried about the hail. Not worried about the hail when it comes to the storm. We're concerned about the winds that are coming from this storm. We're concerned about the possible tornado spin-ups that are taking place along this line. That is what we're really concerned about. We're also concerned about any updates when it comes to possible power outages that are going on around the area. We're going to get an update with Jenna here maybe in just a little bit. We've had numerous reports of power outages, especially west of the river, as this line was making its way across eastern Iowa, I would say looks like about maybe a couple of hours or so. So here are some of the reports that are going on that have been indicated from chasers that have been relayed to our friends at the National Weather Service. You can go ahead and let's pop that up here. And yeah, it was reported from Genesis that that a tornado was on the ground, unfortunately, right around Kelowna, where they had, unfortunately, some small damage from a tornado that took place just last year. But that has been confirmed, and that's why we had that tornado warning out for areas mainly off to our east. And you can see other icons representing some hail, some trees that have been blown off that took place. This was pea-sized hail that was indicated around Eldridge, around between 7:55 and 8:05, had a strong wind gust around 52 miles an hour. And then, of course, over in Moscow, Iowa, had some strong winds from that storm that took place just about Tuesday or so. Of course, it has some strong winds there. Had some wind gusts around Loudon, around 16 miles an hour, even close to quarter-size hail that was reported outside of town as well, dime to even nickel-size hail. And then as you make your way to around Lone Tree, that is where we had some structural damage that took place. Could have been a tornado. It might have very likely, given what we saw on the radar at the time, maybe some strong gusty winds. My daughter actually is at over in Iowa City, paramedic school she's at there over there, and as she was making her way toward the hospital itself, she certainly saw some circulation going on right around Iowa City itself. And that's where we started seeing a spew of warnings popping up right along that line itself. And that's what we're dealing with across areas, especially along and east of the river, with all these warnings that are now taking place and continuing off to the east. And we're going to stay on the air until the threat is all said and done. Okay, that is our motto. That is our policy here. When the threat is all said and done, then we go back to regular programming. But when you're dealing with multiple tornado warnings out here, when you're dealing with multiple severe thunderstorm warnings that are out there because of the strong straight line winds, you know, that's a big concern that we're dealing with. Prophet Sound, I think, is getting some of that rain and wind right now, Andrew.
Yeah, it looks like it's moving in as we speak right now. In fact, we've lost connection to this camera a few times because the winds have been so strong. Actually saw a couple law enforcement personnel getting ready to head out of town, so keeping a close eye on that. But yeah, Prophetstown, you're just now starting to get some of the stronger wind gusts and the heavy rain that's going to be coming through. So hope you guys are ready to go. We also have the camera too at the high school that we can show you. Very heavy rain coming down, reduced visibility. The wind is also probably blowing pretty good at this time too. Now, Clinton, you're just getting out of the worst of this, but you're still seeing some heavy rainfall and some reduced visibility there. But still, yeah, this is a very powerful line of storms that originated in western Iowa very early this morning and continues to pose quite a risk now for our Illinois hometowns. But again, we think here in the immediate Quad Cities we're clear. I'd say LeClaire, stretching all the way down to Kelowna, is in the clear. Aledo, absolutely in the clear. The worst of it is over for you. Preston, you're done. Clinton, you're just about done with this. Moments away from that exiting you. Still have some nasty cells to move through Savannah yet. That's going to give you some heavy rain, good rush of wind. Now seeing that wind and possible tornado threat move through Elizabeth up there in Joe Davis County. Let's put the velocity back on there, take a quick tour, make sure we're not missing anything critical here. And there you see, yeah, there's still some broad rotation now to the east of Elizabeth, getting ready to head into Stockton. That's why we have the tornado warning there. Still seeing some good wind gusts approaching Savannah. That'll soon be into Thompson and Mount Carroll. And then further to the south, there you see a really strong rush of wind, and that's why I took you to Prophetstown there quickly, because that's now moving in as we speak. Not seeing any, what we call earlier, those notches. There is some on the reflectivity. There's one south of Morrison there, but if you look at the velocity presentation, we're not seeing any of those reds and greens, at least right now, kind of next to each other. I also want to give you a quick update on that tornado warning for Henry County, where we had a confirmed tornado earlier. Now the National Weather Service has dropped this back down to radar confirmed. As of the latest update, no further reports of any tornado touchdowns with that particular storm.
Yeah, it could be, we could be in more of a recycling stage, possibly with that line. So once again, I mean, if we see these little brief spin-ups that take place, these spin-ups that take place, they may be brief, and then we may see another one that may pop down as well. So that's why we're just constantly checking this out on our velocity mode, finding out where these notches are before they actually are visible. That's always a good thing on our side, that we can get that out there before any chasers actually see it, because sometimes you're dealing with all this blinding rain. You can't even see these spin-ups that take place as well. And you can see that these notches are taking place right where that blinding rain is going on across the area. So that's why we are still continuing with this tornado warning for parts of northeastern Henry County, going into northwestern Bureau County. So New Bedford, Deer Grove, going up to Tampico there up in Whiteside County. Keep in mind, if there's any type of little notch that we see, which may be weakening a little bit, we don't see much of that right there, just along Illinois 92, just near 172 Illinois, just near Tampico itself. That's probably the only area we could possibly be seeing maybe some type of brief spin up, but given what we're seeing in the velocity mode, it doesn't look all too bad. So that is some very good news. I would, what's probably going to happen here is they may extend these warnings out, but it may be more like severe thunderstorm warnings that will be indicated by a larger polygon that we're noticing right here, that, there could still be a possible tornado that could, touch down from that particular line. You can see how the solid yellow lines are a lot more different than what we see farther south, okay? That is indicating the difference between each of these thunderstorm warnings that are going on, where the one that we're seeing right there from Henry County to Bureau County, that means that we got a line of storms coming in, that this line has a potential of producing these spin-ups. Okay, so these warnings, those tornado warnings that you see, could very likely be let go, but extended to more warnings farther east, going into Interstate 39, heading toward Rockford, heading toward LaSalle, Peru. We'll see how that takes place. But keep in mind that those decisions are pretty much based from our friends at the National Weather Service. So they're the ones that will give us a more definite answer when it comes to that. Yes, Andrew?
We've got a new update from the National Weather Service. According to spotters in Henry County, this is at the intersection of Illinois 92 and Illinois 78. There is a tornado on the ground now.
So there is a tornado on the ground. Let's go zooming in there then and go to velocity mode if we can. And that was just now, correct?
Just now, yep, 8:53.
So if we had to go ahead and circle that area where we were talking about, right there, is that the one southwest of Tampico there?
It's got to be this right here.
Got to be it then, there, right there. Okay. So right there, it's pretty much hugging Illinois 92 as that continues to make its way off toward the east. So once again, the signature is there. The green is indicating that those raindrops are heading toward the radar site. The red is indicating that those raindrops are moving away from the radar site. That shows us right there where that possible little brief spin up is actually taking place. So be on guard. If you're watching us around Deer Grove, take cover right away. Walnut, now you're not in that warning yet, but if it kind of wobbles along Illinois 92, it certainly have a good chance of impacting you as well. Okay, so you definitely want to get to your safe place, have your phone with you, have your app with you, and you can actually monitor everything that we are telling you right here on air, okay? So as long as you're in your safe place, you're getting that information, then you're in really, really good shape. But that is a confirmed tornado that is on the ground by spotters out there. It's not radar indicated anymore. Just keep that in mind. This is the same circulation that we saw just north and west of Geneseo, which was confirmed that there was a tornado that actually was on the ground. This is very likely the same tornado that has been kind of popping in and popping out as it continues to make its way off toward the east. So once again, that tornado warning until about another 20 more minutes, but could very likely even extend, given the fact that we got it on the ground, very likely will extend in parts of in parts of Bureau County and likely into Lee County, Illinois, going into the next half an hour or so. So stretching it out, we can see that if it continues to kind of wobble, maybe hopefully a little bit more north and east. And I only say that because there's a lot of rural area out there, a lot of farmland out there. So hopefully we can keep that in a very minimal, in an area where minimal damage is going to be taking place. Ohio, 919, Walnut around 9:10, and once again, we mentioned about Deer Grove just after 9 o'clock or so. I want to eventually go to Jenna here. We haven't got a chance to talk to her lately in the past 15 minutes. The latest on power outages, especially that may be going on in our viewing area alone.
Yeah, so not much of an update on power outages since the last time we talked. They're still kind of on the Illinois side, well over 5,000 people without power. It looks like the worst of those are, over in Coal Valley, in Rock Island. This is a picture that Jenna sent us from Milan. We've gotten a lot of pictures of just those intense storm clouds. We have a great time-lapse video that Jordan Frank sent us. He's one of our brood producers. Let me double check where it was that he was able to capture this.
Wow.
I think it's from Carbon Cliff, was what he said, as you see that storm. The color change in this. I've been up monitoring. I know it's Memorial Day weekend. A lot of people are traveling for the long weekend. I've been trying to monitor those flights. That 9 a.m. flight to Denver has since been delayed since I last checked. I believe a flight coming in from Chicago this morning is delayed as well. I'm trying to get an update on O'Hare if you're supposed to be traveling out of there today. If I am able to see if there's any delays there, I'll get you guys updated on that. But some really great video coming in of that storm that you guys have been sending us, and we're working to get more of those on air. We see the emails, and we appreciate it.
I was going to say, that is really impressive by Jordan. You can see that shelf cloud, and right behind it, you can see the rolling that goes on with that air that's streaming ahead of it, the downdraft that's going on. That's why you see kind of that rolling effect with those clouds right along that shelf cloud itself. So really impressive. And keep this in mind, Jordan has done some chasing in the past. He's seen plenty of severe weather. He knows where he's supposed to be when it comes to these situations. So he was in a safe place when these storms made his way through here, and that's good. That's what chasers like to do. They want to make sure that they're in a position so not only can they get some of this video, get some of these pictures, but relay those pictures, that information to us, as well as even our friends at the National Weather Service as well.
Yeah, very impressive. I love the time lapse of that.
Time lapse, the quality is amazing.
Yes, it goes to show the fluidity of the atmosphere too. We think of the atmosphere as like a body of water, and that's what it would look like, say, if you're on the ocean, kind of at the shoreline, and a wave is crashing onto the ocean shore. That's exactly what it looks like underneath. So very good example of that. A reminder that we're still tracking that confirmed tornado that is moving through northern Henry County. The National Weather Service has flipped that polygon back to hot pink again, showing, yes, a confirmed tornado. We still think, if we look at the velocity here, that thing is about ready to hop the, the Henry County and the Whiteside County border. The rotation right now would be just to your southeast if you're in Tampico, because again, it was Illinois 92 and 78 where they had the confirmed tornado sighting. Now that's moving to the east. So we're talking about this getting ready to move over Illinois 40, another highly traveled artery as it go from Sterling Rock Falls down to Peoria. So Deer Grove, you're going to be next in line for this to come on through. Again, another one of our smaller hometowns, but if you're in Deer Grove watching us, you need to be prepared for this. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised, given still the radar presentation, if we get a new tornado warning, perhaps coming in soon for Walnut, Ohio, East Grove, all the way up to Harmon into parts of Lee County, Illinois, just based on what we're still continuing to see. We'll put the loop on this so you can see just how this rotation has kind of evolved. Initially started around Hoop Hole just to the north, and then it's still making its way right along Illinois 92, kind of moving east with a little bit of a northerly jaunt to it at times. But it looks like the worst of the rotation south of Tampico, but I think this is a big time heads up for Deer Grove north of New Bedford for some tornado activity here shortly. Again, that tornado warning now confirmed. It will go until 9:15 this morning. We've got 15 more minutes left on that. We'll see if they issue a new one for Western Bureau County, further into Western Bureau County and Central Bureau County, into maybe Lee County on the Illinois side of the river. Very concerning there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either if they went ahead and they made that into a tornado warning. It's kind of moving just due east, it looks like, right there on 92, just west of Walnut itself. And we'll go ahead and put the tracker on there. So I think this is as far as the towns are concerned, from Walnut to Ohio, Maytown over in Lee County, Illinois, certainly will be a concern if this continues to wobble along and just north of Illinois 92. So that's kind of what we're going to monitor with that. But there is a nice little couplet like right there. That's the same storm that made its way just north of Geneseo, and that continues to make its way off toward the east. So this is right now the biggest concern that we have when it comes to that warning. Right now, that's the only real main couplet that we see going on. We still have some tornado warnings going farther north as you go from going into eastern Whiteside County. You can see there's Sterling Rock Falls right there. We haven't seen much as far as any little spin-ups that we're noticing here, but that has been the history of this line. We see these little couplets come, and then they go. Come and they go. And that's kind of what we're dealing with right here. Could be a small little indentation right there, small maybe a little couplet just northwest of Milledgeville. Doesn't take much for these little spin-ups to cause even a little bit of damage. And you can see farther north as you go, there's a nice little couplet that we're noticing just northwest of, is it Loran?
Loran, yeah.
I get so worried about pronunciations. When you don't talk about a town in so long,
It's been a while.
That's always a big concern. So Loran, you can see there's a nice little couplet right there where you are. So definitely, hopefully, you're in your safe place as that makes its way off to the east. Andrew is making that nice little feature indicating where that little spin is going on. So around Pearl City, be on guard as that makes its way into your general area, as that continues to make its way off to the east. In fact, I think that's still part of that tornado warning. Oh, okay.
Looks like it, yep.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought it was going to continue on this way. But, Andrew, I think we may be seeing a new tornado warning coming out here, if that holds true. Remember, there's only so much that we can see on the radar, okay? But, given what we have, experienced looking at these velocity mode signatures across areas around here, we got to get a good idea that, yes, there is some type of circulation that is going on. We had some eyes out there, then we certainly can confirm it, but the radar is kind of showing a pretty good notch right around Loran itself and making its way north and east. So there could be a new tornado warning that may extend a little farther eastward into Stevenson County. And then we have this tornado warning out for another 25 more minutes in parts of Carroll County, heading all the way down into Whiteside County. Possibility of some hail, maybe about larger than quarter size, that could cause some damage. But taking a look at the threat of hail that we see, it's kind of a low confidence as far as that size is concerned, just by our legend that we see here. A little green, there is a little blue right there around Mount Carroll. And if we are seeing some of that hail, it could be more pea size. You can see the orange that we see here. Let's say orange, okay? That's under severe limit, so that's good. We want to keep it that way. And from our algorithms, we can actually determine what that orange is representing pea size, just pea size. But if you hear a lot of pea size hail hitting the roof, you're like, wow, what's going on out there, right? So certainly that could be the case with that part of the storm itself. But numerous warnings that we see here. We've been on the air since about 6 o'clock or so, 5:30, I would say. Andrew, you were on Good Morning Quad Cities. Help me out here. I was still in REM mode. So
it's been a while.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah, we knew we were going to be seeing some of these gusty thunderstorms take place. Keep in eastward right around Illinois 92 and probably northward going into Lee County, Illinois. Okay, so around East Grove, Amboy. Right now, not concerned about you guys at the time being, given that we've been noticing in the past half hour, 45 minutes, that part of the storm making its way from west to east, right along and maybe just north of Illinois 92. So Ohio going into certainly around Walnut, as we mentioned, but I believe, let's see, I believe that is just, I would say, just south of East Grove, right there in Illinois 26. So right in this general area is what we're going to be concerned about when it comes to that storm. Farther south as you go, severe thunderstorm warning that covers all of Bureau County with that line as it makes its way off to the east. But this is the area we're concerned about from this line alone. Anything along the line, this is what we're really concerned about, mainly because we have eyes out there that has confirmed that there is a tornado on the ground as that continues to make its way off to the east. The farther south as you go, we're noticing, once again, severe thunderstorm warnings that continue, more of a wind threat that we're noticing here, stretching its way down to Stark County, all the way down into Knox County. Looks like the line itself has made its way just east of the Galesburg area, so that's some good news right there. We haven't heard any reports of the amount of the strength of the winds making its way through Rova country. That's northern Knox County. Anytime we talk about Rova country, it's really right around here. Haven't heard about any reports yet of any when it comes to any damage, more importantly, the strength of the winds itself. But once again, a concern with this one as it continues to make its way off to the east with some wind, potentially get some, maybe some pea-sized hail out of that. But this appears to be more of a wind threat with some cloud-to-ground lightning that could cause some brief power outages and certainly a whole lot of rain too. I've been trying to wait to see what kind of rainfall amounts we've been getting around here, but I would say given the speed, you're not going to get a lot of rainfall, but a quick quarter of an inch, maybe even about a half an inch, that can't be ruled out. This is what we've been noticing just in the past 3 hours or so. And anywhere you see like dark green, that may be indicating a good 1 or 2 inches of rain that has fallen. Given the speed of the system, that has been around 50, 60 miles an hour, I'm fairly surprised that we're seeing that much rainfall that is taking place in our area. And by the way, this is great news for farmers out there. Remember, the latest drought monitor came out, and for areas around Cedar Rapids and Waterloo, they're still under a moderate drought, but no extreme drought. That's some good news. So adding to that, to the soil, that's some great news. That's a thumbs up going in through the growing season. So once again, getting some good rain out of this. No flooding rains that we've seen across the area. Let's go and take it to Jenna. Jenna, you have some updates for us.
Yeah, I told you guys earlier we were, with the Memorial Day weekend, we're monitoring all the travel situations. If you're getting out of town for the weekend, I just double checked on FlightAware. If you are traveling through O'Hare today, there's only 3 cancellations there right now. There's 82 delays into and out of O'Hare, so you'll want to keep monitoring that. We do have this picture that Dawn sent us from outside of Morrison earlier. I think it was a little bit while ago that she sent it to us now. You can kind of see those dark clouds, and it looks like there's, I don't know if you guys would call that dust or how you would.
I tell you, I wish we had this video instead of just the image itself. Yeah. It's really hard to say, but that could be a spin up that, once again, on these little brief spin ups that may be going on. So that certainly is a very good possibility. It could be the rush of air that's coming down from the storm that usually can produce a little bit of that circulation. I mean, this could be like a pretty strong, what we call dust devil, or even a gustnado. That could be a gustado that may be taking place, and that can do damages equally as when we see these confirmed tornadoes that we've been noticing along this line. So a great shot. We appreciate that shot. My goodness. Once again, that's out of Morrison, Illinois, right along that line has been making its way from west to east. Power outages or anything like that?
Not much to update there. We do have a crew on their way to Green River, Illinois, so we're working to get you guys a live picture of what's going on there, maybe some reports of damage. We're working to confirm and get a live picture up in a little bit for you guys.
And Green River is located just east of the Quad Cities itself, right around the Kelowna area or so. So we'll get a crew out there and certainly get some information regarding any possible damage that might have taken place. I mean, when we saw that on the ground, could very likely be talking about some tree limbs that might have been captured by that brief tornado that spun up just north and west of Geneseo itself. So that's probably what we are going to be noticing in that area. But we'll find out. We'll get that crew out there. They're on their way. And hopefully before our coverage is all said and done, we might be able to get some video on that as well. But yeah, numerous warnings are continuing to extend even farther eastward, Andrew.
Yeah, they just keep piling up there. All the severe thunderstorm warnings now, including one extending into Lee County, Illinois. Some good news on this one. We've been tracking the confirmed tornado for parts of Henry and Whiteside County. The National Weather Service says they're going to go ahead and let that go in about 30 seconds here. That's going to expire. The reason for that is we've seen that rush of wind, that rain-cooled air has now advanced well ahead of the storm. That kind of cuts off the potential for tornado development. So they're going to go ahead and see that. You'll see that drop off of our screen here momentarily, and then all we have to talk about for tornado warnings is what we've got going on eastern Whiteside County, including Sterling Rock Falls, all the way north through Carroll County. Lanark, you're in that, and then we still have that tornado warning also in eastern Joe Davis County, though you can see there, looks like that one's gone too.
Right.
So we're now in the process of this part of the storm event that we're starting to sweep out some of these warnings now, peeling them away as these storms are starting to move to the east. So again, right now, in the News 8 area, we've only got one tornado warning to keep track of. That's extending from Sterling Rock Falls through Lanark into southeast Joe Davis County. That's going to go until 9:30. So in about 15 minutes, we're likely going to be able to peel that away. The rest of us are just seeing severe thunderstorm warnings, and that is for wind. Some substantial wind, too, that's possible. We've got gusts on radar that have been approaching 70 miles an hour. So we got to treat these storms as they are, that they are very intense, very much so. A lot of rain coming down with this too. Let's take a quick velocity tour through Whiteside County, just because, you know, as we showed you that picture earlier from Morrison, may have been a quick little spin up there with some rotation. Just checking out to see if there's anything of concern. We were watching this near Kalita earlier, near Pilgrim Road. You can see that signature is still there where we've got a little bit of the red next to the green. That's getting ready to head off into Lee County. So Woosung, Buffalo, Pine Creek, those areas south. We'll have to watch that carefully, but not seeing anything really stick out unless you go up to here near Shannon and Lanark where things look like there's a little bit of rotation there, but nothing confirmed on the ground. You see it's radar indicated rotation that we're still seeing with those particular warnings. Further to the south, yeah, there you see our tornado warning is gone for Henry County. Including Bureau County, that's gone as well. We may start getting, got to remember there's wind turbines down here, so we may start getting some interference in the velocity data near New Bedford there. I know it looks like there might be a concerning signature there, but we also have to keep in mind the geography, what is located there that can sometimes interfere with the radar beam. But looks like some gusty winds getting ready to head through parts of Bureau County, Princeton. This is not going to be too far away from you. Let's go ahead and put the track on that really quickly here. Let me get out of velocity, go back to reflectivity, give us a better bearing of where the front of these storms are. Just getting into Walnut now and also into Bradford. That's going to be heading off to the east. We're talking about Walnut now, literally. Princeton, about 10 minutes away, and then into Depew and into LaSalle, Peru. That is, I believe, the Whiteside County Airport south of Rock Falls, showing that line of storms moving in. That's pointing east. I'm going to log in there in a minute and see if I can move that camera a little bit further due west to get us a little bit of a better shot there. But yeah, you are under that tornado warning. We're monitoring for that quick spin-up tornado situation along the leading edge of that line. Nothing concerning on velocity right now, but again, these happen very quickly with very little notice. I know the National Weather Service hates putting out huge polygons for tornadoes. They like to keep them nice and neat.
Yes.
That's what Rich was saying at the National Weather Service office. But I agree. I said this kind of a condition, it warrants a bigger polygon.
It has to, because the fact that these storms have been moving about 60 miles an hour or so. So you're talking just a few minutes or so before it actually reaches your hometown. So we want to make sure that once these polygons that extend so far east, given the speed of the storms, we want to make sure that you are aware about the situation and that you are taking action. You know, that's basically why we have these warnings so far east of the line itself, and we've been noticing that We've been doing that for the past few hours or so with that particular line. So that's a big concern. Yeah, I saw actually a picture out of, it could have been around Green River there, of a shed that has been toppled maybe by some winds. Well, that's probably what we are going to get out of Green River for some of the damage that might have taken place. Well, this is the only tornado warning that we have going on right now in our viewing area. I think once they expire that, which could very likely be the case since we're not noticing too much activity along there, then we're going to be pretty much keeping an eye on this warning that is making its way through Bureau County. Now, keep in mind, the different colors that we see here, at least the thickness of that polygon, is indicating that, hey, you know, we still could get a brief spin up. This is still a pretty strong line of storms that we see here, producing some of that rain, producing some of that lightning, producing some of that wind that is going on with this storm. And we're just making sure that, you know, we're not noticing any real noticeable couplets, these little indentations along the boundary itself. Because if we do see them, then we are very likely going to see likely upgrade to this warning itself. But right now, it appears to be very quiet in nature. We're now going into velocity mode here, and we're at a point right now where, you know, just the topography that's taking place, as Andrew just mentioned about some of the wind farms around here, that could very likely be indicating maybe some spin, but that may not be the case. This really hasn't changed much at all. So that's likely what we're dealing with right here. So that is a good sign that we're noticing with these storms as they continue to march their way through Bureau County. You can see it's just west of Princeton, around Tiscawah. Our friends in Buda, by the way, are now experiencing some of the wind, some of the rain that's going on, some of the lightning. But once again, no real concerns, or at least we haven't had any reports about any damage that may be taking place. I think the only real concern that we have when it comes to this part of the storm, where we have the tornado warning just out for parts of Milledgeville, is maybe this little couplet right there. There is some type of little rotation going on. So Brookville, you certainly will be impacted. You might get a good rush of wind here. Maybe some small tree limbs that may be broken because of that. Hopefully it's not garbage pickup day for you guys, okay? My goodness. I'm still, I haven't heard, everything was okay at my neighborhood. I mean, my garbage cans are still there, which is a big relief, I tell you. So that's really the only concern that we have when it comes to that line. Little brief spin up. Once it makes its way out of our viewing area, which it will in just minutes away, then we get the all clear for our friends over in Carroll County. So once again, velocity mode that we're dealing with, indicating where we can find some of those brief spin ups that may be taking place within that particular line. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and stretch it out a little bit more. And let's see here. This is still the old warning that we have going into Lee County, I believe, just east of that line itself. So yep. We're gonna do this. Is we'll hang on for maybe about another. Let's see what happens here in the next 10 minutes or so as it continues to make its way off to the east. But if we're seeing very little, if any information going on, any updates, then we're going to go ahead and go back eventually to regular programming. These are the latest reports that we have going on here. This is just northwest of Hoople, where we got another confirmation of that tornado that was on the ground. It was spotted near Highway 92 and just northwest of Hoople itself. So there was a confirmation of that tornado that was on the ground. That makes it two, though it could be the same tornado that was probably kind of recycled itself and has made its way just east of the immediate Quad Cities. So likely that is the same storm. And that's usually the case when you're dealing with the type of coverage that we're dealing with here, or the conditions that we're dealing with here, is that you normally see this line to kind of recycle itself to, you know, it comes down one point and then eventually goes back up, comes down again. We're hoping that's not going to be the case from that same tornado that we saw, but right now everything is looking pretty quiet, at least when it comes to any type of threat of any tornadoes around the area. We're just a little concerned with the winds that are coming down from this storm that could be enough to produce some damage. That's why we have that polygon, that higher polygon located around Bureau County. Jenna, you have some information for us.
Yep, quick update on power outages, those Mid-American power outages. They are going down on the Illinois side, about 1,000 less people are without power now, still about 4,600. This is a video, I believe Drew sent this to us from outside of Oneida. He said there was a little bit of a brief spin up. I know we were talking earlier about that picture from Morrison. It was hard to tell with just a picture what was going on, so we've got a video. I don't know if you guys can tell at all if it's dust or if it is a
It kind of looks like dust to me. Doesn't look like, Andrew? What do you think?
Yeah,
it's really hard to tell because the camera's just kind of moving a little wobbly on us, but
yeah, it gets a little tricky. I mean, we saw this situation on Tuesday where we had a situation near Muscatine where there was a report of a confirmed tornado, but it actually was the rear flank downdraft of the storm picking up the field dust rather than a tornado. So you have to remember, farmers, I mean, I've seen them all week out in the field tilling and planting, and there's a lot of loose dust out there. So we have to deal with that too. Could be a brief spin up, but yeah, like you said, James, it's kind of hard to tell when the camera's kind of moving like that.
Right. Most cases, 9 out of 10 times, that's kind of what we're dealing with is because of all this wind that's coming down from the storm itself. You can have these, this kind of visual right here where some of the dust from those fields are coming up and kind of gives you that like, wow, is that actually a twister that is actually taking place? It's probably not the case here. It's probably some of that dust coming from the ground itself and kind of lifting. So don't really see much as far as any circulation, but it certainly is an eye catcher. That is for sure when you see something like this, and kind of very similar, once again, as you mentioned, what we saw back last Tuesday or so.
Yeah, that's the first thing that came to my mind. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of these dust clouds that will come up as those strong winds reach the surface. But yeah, we always appreciate a visual, especially if it's a video visual. That really helps tell the story. Pictures can tell us a few things, but video can tell us a whole bunch more when we've got something spinning and rotating. I want to give you a quick update on the only tornado warning that we have left in the Quad Cities region, and that is this one here. The National Weather Service is going to let it go in about 4 minutes. Not seeing any further potential again as the gust front or that rain-cooled air is now rushing out ahead of the storm. That kind of undercuts the ability for it to produce any sizable rotation. We're still going to keep an eye on this, definitely as we go through the next 5-10 minutes here. But overall, it looks like the threat has now moved beyond even Sterling Rock Falls. Prophetstown for sure is in the clear. We can call the all clear for Savannah and Thompson and Elizabeth all the way back to Galena. There you see some strong storm activity still near Loran, and Shannon, and getting into Stevenson County. But yeah, that's the only tornado warning we have left, and the National Weather Service says that's going to be gone here in just under 4 minutes from now. Now we're still just transitioning to this damaging wind threat, and even then, it appears just based on the radar presentation that these storms are starting to weaken a little bit more as they continue to cross over.
Yeah, very, very much so. I mean, like I said, once again, if you're watching us from Princeton, even around near Mendota itself, Cherry, LaSalle, Peru itself, right now I think we may be just dealing with more of a good old-fashioned line of thunderstorms that's probably producing some wind. You can even tell by the lightning itself. There's not much as far as any lightning that is going on. If we saw a cluster of lightning together, that's a sure indication that we are seeing some extreme conditions taking place. Not so much the lightning, but you've got some intense wind that's going on. You've got some great development that's going on. Keep in mind these rain droplets are charged, and that's where 80% of the time you normally see a lot of that lightning within the cloud itself. But as you can see, the amount of lightning that we see making its way through Bureau County, there's not much at all. I mean, you're going to get some rain, you're going to get some wind. It could get a little pea-sized hail, but right now indications are that it may not be as bad going into Bureau County itself. So what we can do here is, and I'll let people know in the booth, let's go for another minute or two and just kind of do a brief rundown of what has happened here going in the past few hours or so, because Andrew, it was certainly a wake-up call for a lot of us. I know a lot of people that were working outside, in construction and all, and probably didn't expect to see all this, but this is something we were reminding people since yesterday.
Yeah, we showed you the feature track runs, which had this line coming in right about morning commute time, and that is indeed what we saw. You can see this is a 4-hour radar loop, and I may take this back even further. Maybe we'll go back 6 hours so you can see kind of where this line originated. We were quiet all night long. Then came the squall line right from western Iowa, producing a lot of damage again in central Iowa, some reports of tornadoes there, and then just slamming itself right into the Quad Cities. And it was as we were going through GMQC, I was becoming concerned about that bow echo. In fact, I'm going to kind of move the radar back there, right there before it got into Cedar Rapids. You see how that edge of that line is starting to race ahead. It's bowing out, and that was the sign that, yes, the damaging wind potential was really going to start to ramp up for us here in the Quad Cities. What happens for the rest of the day? That remains to be seen, because we've had this line come through this morning. I will say, though, that we're early enough in the day. It's only 9:30. We've still got all of early afternoon to go, where if we clear this out of here enough, which we will likely do, we may have to be talking about yet another round of some potentially damaging storms as we get into the afternoon. I'm just kind of giving a quick glance at the satellite. Haven't gotten a real chance to look at this all morning long to see what's going on. But yeah, there is some noticeable clearing out in Iowa. There's an area of low pressure and a cold front still sitting out there. So I have a feeling we may have to be dealing with another round of storms this afternoon. Again, how strong depends on how much sunshine we can see, and some instability. I have noticed, though, that, yeah, we have some new activity firing Mason City east of I-35, and that's likely going to have to move in our direction here. Maybe some southwestward extension of some of that development that may have to come in here later this afternoon. But we'll see what happens with that. We get the next update from the Storm Prediction Center at 11:30. Will they still have us in a 3? We'll see.
Yeah, real quick, let's show people real quick the future track that we have going into the afternoon, okay? And then we're going to go right to regular programming here in just a little bit. We'll eventually toss it to Jenna, and Jenna will take it back to programming. But we want to show you once again, because this is what we'll be monitoring. This is what we'll be tracking going into the afternoon. This is, once again, our future track. Did a very good job in depicting that line for the early morning hours. Now watch what happens as we get to about during the afternoon. You can start seeing some of that development start taking place. That may be something that may take place more along the river itself and eventually eastward, but you can see how things evolve, and that's a big concern that we have as we make our way in the afternoon. And of course, any of those warnings that do pop up, if we do, we'll certainly let you know here at WQAD. Let's go and take it back to Jenna real quick, but this is what we're watching come later on this afternoon. We're in a level 2 risk of seeing all modes of severe weather. Jenna?
Yeah, one last update for you guys before we go. The channel cat season was supposed to start today. Metro did just confirm with us that they're going to delay that start until tomorrow, when, you know, the weather will be a little bit nicer to be out there. But always, for the latest information, you can check the WQAD Storm Track 8 weather app. You can find a complete forecast there and choose to receive severe weather alerts directly to your phone. It will help you get up-to-the-minute updates on how the weather is impacting our area before you step out the door. Just search WQAD in the App Store or Google Play to download the free app. Stay tuned with WQAD. We're going to be back at 11 o'clock today with the latest.